Well, hey everybody. I was going to do an unboxing video, but I didn't have the camera on. So we're going straight to the meat of this. And there's not really much to say anyway because, this era has been reprinted ad infinitum. And I have to admit, I'm triple dipping on this. I have the trade paperbacks from years ago. I have the omnibus, but I had to get the Marvel Masterworks. The format's so beautiful. However, this will probably be my last one. There's a few issues afterwards with Denny O'Neil and Klaus Janssen doing some fantastic solo work. Then the art goes up and down and up and down. Issue 200 was a huge disappointment. The book kind of floundered. I really got the strong impression that Denny O'Neil was just like a placeholder for a while, and because it just wasn't as strong as his DC stuff, or the stuff he was doing with Iron Man, with Rhodey taking over as Iron Man. But then this young lad named David Mazzucchelli came around about, 210, and he just grew I don't know how you would say it, exponentially, geometrically, and it's like he inspired Denny to get back on, doing his best stuff. And then Miller came back with Mazzucchelli, and then it was creator go round for a while. So now, oh my god, I was so sick. The second volume, it's nothing but Elektra and ninjas guest starring Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. And I liked it at the time, good stories, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's like, enough with the ninjas. And the other thing, too, is it did a great disservice to ninjas because they were just cannon fodder. They were no better than Hydra agents or AIM agents or whatever. They were, and I kind of thought that diminished what a ninja would be. And so I haven't read this yet, but it's by Ralph Macchio. I would love to talk to him someday. I don't know if it will ever happen, but it's like so little is known about him, but he's sort of been I don't know how you put it. He's sort of been the glue that's somehow kept Marvel together all these years, despite, fuck ups and missteps and such. But he started off as a writer, did Project Pegasus with Mark Gruenwald. This is my first issue that I got in the mail. I got a subscription to Micronauts and Moon Knight, which were direct sales only, and the only way I could get a comic that way was going down to Ides downtown, which would be like, shit, it would be a long bus drive because there was a lot of stops. So I'm like, okay, I'll get those two books, and they offered like a third one for a deal. So I got that. The big fight between Elektra and Bullseye happened, in the prior issue, but I'll be damned. Okay, it was actually snowing when this came out, okay? The way they sent the packages at the time, all it was a comic wrapped around with thin brown paper that was a little bit glued in the back. Nothing on top, nothing below. Paper. I mean, like cardboard paper. And it got soaked in the snow. And it ruined it. So it's like for that year I had to suffer shitty books coming in. And I was too cheap at the time, which a lot of comic fans like myself are cheap. We see the $2 bins or the $1 or the quarter. We go after it. I was too cheap to replace them. So got some good stuff here. This is the era where Miller is doing breakdowns for Klaus Janssen. And now the exception is this story that was held off for a while because it had to do with angel dust, and it was the Comics Code Authority. So this sort of goes back to the first year as far as the art style. It's much tighter, and it's interesting. I love seeing Kingpin and Punisher in Daredevil. I've always loved that look. It's like Klaus established that way back when and proved that blind men and women have eyes. They don't have these white, spheres that he wants Heather to marry him. And the problem is, she she's the major stockholder. That's pretty nifty. In Glenn Industries, which her father ran, and he had committed suicide because the Purple Man, who has influences over people, it's a mutant power, had him kill himself. And she's taking over. First, she thought no big deal of it, and they're really trying to take advantage of her naivete. But she's keeping at it, and she tries to call. And she gives up. But here's the thing, though. Daredevil he becomes a bit of a prick because he makes it clear that he wants Heather to give up her job. And she doesn't want to. So he's kind of a monster. Foggy Nelson gets... Guts Nelson is the name of this episode. It's where he's going around trying to find information, and somehow he gets through all these confrontations because Daredevil is shadowing him. And it's really fun. And what's weird is in the midst of all this angst and action and such, that Miller can still do humor. It's pretty spiffy. There, Turk, who... Oh, no. This is Stiltman, okay? And I love that he brought this character back. So he goes to count the money, takes his glove off, and it falls. He's like, oh, dear. So, you're a leapfrog. Don't be silly. And it's actually Stiltman. And what happens is there's some incident from an explosion that causes Matt's super senses to get greater and greater, and the sound is louder, and he can taste the air, and it's just really horrifying. And she's the DA. I love that design on her with the head wrap, just really clever. So Stiltman's getting ready. Buddy gets taken out by Turk. Turk's like this ongoing... comedy relief kind of character because he gets his ass handed to him by Daredevil a lot, and he's very ambitious, so you can't fault him for that. And they always fight at Josie's Diner, and there's a lot of other ongoing characters very much like Turk. Well, there you go. And I love Janssen's rim lighting. So, he just goes, yeah. He just undoes it from experience. Crash. And Daredevil's in bad shape because the crash was so loud. And he's going, we must now prepare for your defense. I've worked out the details. We will demonstrate to the court that you were ignorant of any wrongdoing. We will show that Spindle took advantage of your inexperience and incompetence as an executive. All right, Matt. All right. I'll marry you. This is Heather with her hair dyed. And I'm like, wow. It's like, you just don't see a lot of superheroes with that dark side. This is the first time the Black Widow appeared in that gray costume, which kind of lasted a little too long. It lasted like 15 years. And other artists under conventional lighting, it's extremely bland. But, and as I see, you're going to see more and more Klaus Janssen, and we kind of get back to the hand and the ninjas. That's fine. This is towards the end. Heather Glenn gets drunk, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited about the wedding and everything." And Black Widow says, "You've changed a little. Wait." She says, you haven't changed a bit. He says to her, and she says, you have, Matt. You changed a lot. About Heather, I don't mean to pry, but then don't. So, a real... Oh. Excellent. Okay, well... Foggy is talking to Natasha, and he says, you're a spy, right? How are you at forgery? So she splits up the two of them by writing these notes. And in the end, it's the best. It's for the best. That's amazing stuff. Now, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. Because you're going to see how Klaus Janssen really, really took a, oh, an unpublished cover. I like that a lot. Never saw that before. And I'm like super geek. I know how a lot of this stuff usually... I'm always surprised when I see an unpublished cover. Okay, now there we go. Layout by Frank Miller. Very square-jawed, kind of more like a placement for the face. And there is Klaus Janssen just bringing the juice. He gets to have fun with that. And that's something I always wanted to do in comics, but I've been forced to trace, too many insecure pencilers. And also, doing the colors gave him a great advantage. See, very basic. Now, there you go. So this was pretty good because, I mean, at least they ended the whole Elektra hand thing finally, because it just, as I said, it just really dragged on and on and on. And that's all Klaus there. I mean, very loose breakdowns. A little bit of, I don't know if that's craft tint or what. Or maybe it's China marker or, I don't know. Okay, now this one is by Terry Austin, and it's neat to see a different treatment. And it's beautiful stuff. He basically has a gun to Bullseye's head, tells him how rotten he is, and he's really tempting him. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I've already spoiled enough. So this is from the official handbook in the Marvel Universe, and both Mark Gruenwald came up with the brilliant way to excuse these superpowers and make them sound feasible. And Elliot Brown was just a genius doing architecture and such. And Peter Sanderson did a lot of the research as well. Elektra. Oh, excuse me. I was trying not to burp. The Plunderer. I'm the plunderer. I plunder round and round and round. Look at it. Even Stilt Man. Like a D-list character. Although I've always liked Stilt Man. Loverly. So, here you go. You got the very basics there. And that right there. I mean, it's everything in there. But it's such a great team. It really is. Klaus inked Dark Knight Returns, and I know Frank did the Sin City stuff later on, and it was really good, but I'll tell you, I'm just going to say it, after a while with Sin City, it got a little predictable. It's like I sort of knew he was doing the hard contrast that, similar to Steranko did in Tower of Shadows #1, and it was cool, but it just had a sameness to it. But the last thing I really loved by Miller was Dark Knight Returns, which Klaus inked. It was colored by Lynn Varley. So that's about it. Oh, see, these are forewords from different collections. Like some did the... So, I mean, I say oi 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 because... I don't know. They brought her back and they started like trying to milk everything from Elektra, and I preferred her dead just because she had redeemed herself, and it was a nice ending to it. So there you got Frank Miller, Roger McKenzie, and Klaus Janssen, and that's it. So hey, this is great. I'm gonna reread it yet again because oh come on, get down there. There, much better. All right, well, that's it. And sorry I fucked up my the unboxing aspect of it, but I don't think you really care. Here we go. Zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay, you're going to zoom for me? Or you're going to piss me off? Okay. Ah, better. Da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, I'll be seeing you. Oh, please hit like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this. If you have, you could leave comments below. That I love that. I love, and even if you think I'm full of shit. Even if you think Sin City is probably his peak, that's fine too. I delete no comments. I want everybody to have a say and be part of this. I've been doing this for some time. So please, and also turn on another friend. I've had a lot of new subscribers, like 20 or 30 of them. And I guess I'm under 250, but I'm so grateful for each and every one because, there's a lot of entertainment options out there. And, you decided to spend a little time with me. And that means the world. It really does. So, anyway, have a good, safe, fun-filled week. And talk to you later. Your pal Drew.